Welcome to r/Am I the Jerk, where OP's girlfriend gets pregnant with another man. Am I the jerk for breaking up with my girlfriend after a prenatal pregnancy test confirmed I was not the father? I, 26 male, was in a relationship with my girlfriend, 26 female, for almost 6 years. We loved each other, but last year, my girlfriend and I decided to separate for a while to rekindle our relationship. Well, that always works, doesn't it? We placed no restrictions on the separation, and we were free to do whatever we wanted and act as we were single. We took a break for a couple of months. The break was much needed to recharge our relationship. A week after getting back together, my girlfriend showed signs of pregnancy. She got an at-home pregnancy test done, which confirmed that she was pregnant. We were both really overjoyed and happy. A few months later, I was planning on proposing to her, and I had already bought the engagement ring. But I wanted to confirm first that I was the father before proposing to her and get the prenatal paternity test done. My girlfriend and I both wanted to do the NIP test to confirm that I was the father. My girlfriend said that she had hooked up with someone during our break, so there was an off chance that I wasn't the father. But we were both very confident that I would be the father. We received the results a couple of weeks later, and I wasn't the father. I was extremely sad, and my girlfriend was sad too. It just hurt me a lot, and emotionally, I couldn't process it. A week later, I broke up with my girlfriend. The breakup was very difficult for her and for me. I told my girlfriend that I just did not want to be the baby's father, and that if possible, she had to try and contact the biological father and let him know. I then helped her move back to her parents' house. Am I the jerk? Update. So a few people in the comments were wondering as to whether my ex knew who the biological dad was. I called my ex last night and asked her if she had found the biological dad, but she said no, that she just knew his first name, but didn't have his number or any social media. She had met him at the bar, and it was pretty much a one-time thing. I asked her how her parents are taking it, and unfortunately, they aren't taking it too great, and they are being really critical of her. Her parents really liked me, and they had no idea that we even took a break. My ex was a bit of an emotional mess when I called her last night, and I felt really bad. I really wished that that baby was mine. My ex and I really envisioned spending the rest of our life with each other, but sadly it wasn't. I told my ex last night that was the last time I was going to call her, and I wished her well in her future. She was crying really badly at the end, and it pretty much broke my heart when I hung up. To rekindle our relationship, we decided to break up? Where do all these morons come from? Dumbest thing I've ever heard. It ranks up there with, my partner wants to hook up with other people to spice up our love life. Separate to recharge the relationship is maybe the dumbest idea I've ever heard. Well, how'd that recharge go? You're delusional if you think taking a break from a relationship is a good way to fix it. Well, what do you think? Is OP a jerk or not? Please let us know. I wouldn't really call him a jerk, but he's definitely not the sharpest tool in the shed. The women at my job made a list of the hottest guys, and they left me off of it. So here's the deal. I, 21 male, work at a store part-time while attending classes. There's a total of 21 of us who work at the store, 13 girls, 8 guys, and we're all around the same age. We have a pretty good working atmosphere, no open hostility so far, and I know that everyone gets along well. We joke around with everyone. Though I will say, the guys and girls do tend to stick together more. As for me, I'm fairly well liked by everyone. I try and be pleasant to everyone I work with, because who wants a jerk coworker? Unfortunately, here's where things went bad. One of the guys who works with us, Chris, who's 23, is dating one of the girls in the store, Ashley, who's 21. Chris was apparently on her phone when he came across the girls' group chat. He said it was mostly girl talk, but he found a list ranking all of the guys in the store by their hotness. He had a laugh about it and screenshotted it to send to our group chat. Everyone saw it and just had a laugh at the rankings. The guy at the top, Chad, who's 22, kept sending crown emojis. Then everyone noticed that I wasn't there. I didn't look at the chat until later since I was with my parents at the time and had it on mute. When I saw I wasn't on the list, it was like I had been slapped across the face. And the worst part of this? The list was out of 10. And they included the 3 delivery guys who drop off stuff and some of the girls flirt with. This crushed me in a way I don't think I've ever been crushed before. It's like, dang, I'm that much of a hideous monster that I'm not worthy of being ranked? I spent the rest of my day being miserable and not talking to anyone. When I wasn't responding to the chat, The guys all tried to hit me up individually, but I didn't respond. I looked into the chat, and the guys were starting to be upset on my behalf, which I definitely didn't want. I decided to call in sick the next day, and when I didn't show up, apparently it all came out into the open. The girls at the store started messaging me, apologizing to me, and making all kinds of excuses. Quite frankly, I didn't care. I decided to face the music the next day and suck it up at work. When I walked into work, the atmosphere was a lot more tense than it usually was. Becky, who's 23, who is the assistant manager and was in the group chat, pulled me to the side and asked if we could talk. I said okay. She apologized on behalf of everyone in the chat and said that the list was not serious. It was girl talk and not meant to be seen outside the chat. She said that everyone, especially the women at the store, like me for far more valuable things than simply how I look, and that if it were a list of the nicest guys in the store, I'd be number one. I couldn't help but feel like this was damage control and being friend-zoned all in one motion. I said thank you, but I'm past it, and I don't want anyone's pity, and I went about my day. Of course, I did end up getting that pity with a lot of the guys coming over to talk to me, and some of the girls as well. I got so fed up, I went to the manager and asked to go home early. She agreed because she kinda knew what was going on. This was all about 5 days ago, and since then, everyone at the store has been trying to get me to talk, but I haven't gone back. I don't want pity, and I don't want sympathy. If they think I'm ugly, then fine, but don't try and justify it or make me feel better about it. The reason I'm here is because I need advice on how to navigate this situation at my job and with my friends. How do I tell everyone to basically leave me alone and not pity me? Because honestly, I'm leaning towards just quitting. Edit. I'm reading your comments, and I thank everyone for their input, the tough love and all. I just wanted to pop in here and say one thing. I didn't feel entitled to them thinking I was hot. I don't feel entitled to anything from them. The reason I was upset is because them leaving me off the list for relative strangers felt pretty cruel and messed up. I don't know how to describe it. Like, I guess it sucks that I'm not attractive to them, but being left off entirely felt a step too far. So sorry that that happened to you, OP. I hope that they all get a reprimand of some kind. That was not okay, and HR should have been involved. In all seriousness, your looks do not dictate who you are or your values. Without seeing a photo, no one else can judge each other. So let's make a new list. 1. You're friendly and open to valued communication. 2. You've handled your emotions well and empathetic. 3. You're clearly working and driven. 4. You set a boundary and stuck to it. You're a good human. That's pretty top-notch in my book. Looks fade. Nasty dispositions usually don't. OP. Thank you. This really got to me. You have a way with words, friend. I hope someone makes your day like you made mine. Update. I just wanted to clear up a few things first. I didn't really care necessarily if they found me ugly or whatever. I just felt like being left off the list was a deliberate slap in the face. I didn't and don't feel entitled to anything. Next, the manager of the store, Barb, was not involved in the group chat in any way. She's a 38-year-old married woman and they have 2 kids, and she's far too busy trying to get us to stop smoking behind the store on our breaks. What I meant to say is that she was made aware of the situation after it was brought to her attention. Third, I wasn't aware of the list right away. I was with my parents and wasn't paying attention to the chat. Now, after reading the comments on the first thread, I decided that while I could be upset that I was deemed unattractive, I probably shouldn't care as much as I did. I kinda wanted to discover why not being on that list hurt me so much, so I took my sister's advice and will be seeking a therapist. Funny enough, my grandpa has a saying that came to mind when reading the comments in the first thread. Whenever my dad or his brothers or sisters would be upset about something, my grandpa would tell them, "I didn't get wounded in Ia Drang Valley, so you could sit there and cry about this or that." He was telling them to toughen up. It became a joke among my aunts and uncles that was passed down to my cousins, so I could hear my grandpa telling me in my head, "I didn't get wounded in Ia Drang Valley, so you could sit there and cry about some girls thinking you're ugly." And that got me up a bit. I was still feeling kinda crappy, but I decided to put on a brave face and tell my manager I'd come into work the next day, after posting the thread. As soon as I walked in, the manager took me to her office and said the owner of the store wanted to see me. I wasn't really worried since I had a good relationship with Carl, who's the owner. Carl told me he heard about this story and he was sorry about everything. He said the list was childish and unprofessional, and he was sorry I had to take time off to deal with it. He said the girls all got a strong reprimand and a stern warning that this wouldn't be tolerated in the future. He also suspended Becky because he said that she shouldn't have been in the chat to begin with, and if she was, she should have stopped the list stuff. He also emphasized that he told everyone that he hadn't talked to me yet and that he wasn't punishing anyone because I asked for it. He also said he'd pay me for the shifts I missed as a bit of a compensation for the mental distress. I thanked him and told him I was over it pretty much right away. I just hated having everyone think I needed coddling and wanted everything to cool down. With that, we shook hands and I started my day. Everyone welcomed me back and I said hi to them. I went to my locker and found a letter slipped inside. It was a handwritten letter from all the girls. I'll summarize here because the list was long. In it, they apologized profusely for the chat and the list. They said that nothing was going to make it right or make me believe them, but they wanted to say once again the list was not serious and meant to be some stupid fun, and no one was meant to see it. They said that they all loved me individually, that I was a good person, and that makes me more attractive than most people who are considered hot. Interestingly, they said I was considered cute. Okay then. I flagged down one of the girls on shift who I get along really well with, Sam, who's 20, to tell the group that I accept their apology. I told her to tell them that I got over it pretty much right away, that I just took time off because I wanted the situation to die down, and that I didn't take anything personally. Also, I told her that I'm sorry that anyone got in trouble. I didn't talk to Barb or Carl about anything until today. I didn't want this to become an issue at all. Unfortunately, the guys made it an issue on my behalf. Sam apologized again and told me she'd tell everyone. And that's that. Am I the jerk for telling my wife I don't believe her when she says that she'd be okay with us calling our daughter by different names? I'm 30, male. My wife, who's 29, is pregnant with our first, our daughter. She's just about a month away from giving birth, and we don't have a name picked out yet. At one point, we had 2 potential names on a list, but my wife told me she really didn't want to give either name to our daughter, so that was that. Our issue comes from a difference in likes and dislikes in names. My wife likes very common, very classic names, and she likes to go a touch of old-fashioned too. Her 3 favorite girls' names are Elizabeth, Esther, and Hannah. She also strongly loves the names Emily, Beatrice, Constance, Patricia, Catherine, and Geraldine. But there are many names in the same sphere that she likes. My taste is a bit more mixed, but I like more uncommon names and names that aren't super used or classic, but I have some classics I like. Names I adore are Indigo, Indy, Lyric, Elodie, Lyra, Dove, Sunny, Scout, and Kalia. We strongly dislike the names the other strongly likes and loves. We had the name Briony and the name Melody on our list for a while, but my wife decided neither were names she could tolerate our daughter having, so we went back to square one. I feel like she refuses to try and find names closer to what I like, whereas the ones I suggest closer to her like Chloe or Alana, are names that she doesn't feel totally okay with. She said at one point she should get more of a say as the person carrying our daughter and giving birth to her, but that was dropped soon after. However, my wife has decided the fairest compromise is that one picks the first and the other picks the middle name, and we each call her by the name we pick. So say we end up with Elizabeth Indy. She'd call her Elizabeth, or a nickname from said name, and I'd call her Indy. The thing is, I'm not opposed to this entirely, but I give it a month after our daughter is born before my wife is annoyed that I don't call our daughter by her first name, and I know when she talks about the compromise, she means for her choice to go in the first name spot and mine in the middle. I also know that annoyance will only grow if friends and family choose to call her Indy, and this is just an example instead of Elizabeth. But since both would be used a lot, it could happen, and I know her 2 younger sisters would likely lean more in my taste, so they'd prefer to call her something like Indy to Elizabeth. So I don't think the compromise would work for too long. I told my wife this, and she told me she's an adult and she would be fine. She said I have no reason to doubt her. I told her I know how much she hates not getting her way on certain things, and this is a big thing to her. She told me she'd be okay with me calling our daughter a different name. Even as she said it, she looked annoyed and like she was forcing it. I told her I didn't believe her. My wife said it's unfair not to because she knows herself better than I do. I suggested we trial it out before our daughter comes, and she was upset about that too. Am I the jerk? Everyone sucks here. You know who's gonna suffer the most? This poor kid who won't even know her own name and will constantly have her parents forcing their preferred name on her until she's expected to pick a side. Y'all are both supposed to be adults about to have a kid. You're way past the time when you can be the childish ones. Both of you need to start acting like adults and sit down and hash this out. Pick a name you can both agree on, or put your names in a hat and pick one and be done with it. Whatever works. Everyone sucks here. Not only are you both quite rigid in your selections of names, but you both lack flexibility. People prefer common names, and since she will eventually have a profession, a real job, and relationships, she needs a name that will develop with her. Scout and Indy sound like dog names. For real. I think people forget that this baby will grow up to be an adult, and walking into a professional sphere with a name Lyric will not go well. You're naming a person, not a thing, OP. I know a person named Lyric, and she's grown up fine. She worked for the government for several years, and now she owns a successful small business. Someone succeeding despite having a weird name isn't a case for giving your kid a weird name. Delete it? Are you sure? Okay. So I'm a fiend for Excel spreadsheets. Absolutely love them, and even bought an extra wide monitor for home so I can see them in all their glory. My boss keeps telling me that she's an advanced Excel user. She can run macros, she can do pivot tables, she knows formulas. Not once have I seen her create or manipulate a spreadsheet in the 6 months I've worked for her. So I had a template on our Teams chat that we used every week. It was automated to within an inch of its life to tell us about the company's health. We'd been using it for the last 4 months after I was given approval by the boss to make it live, gave her a tutorial and everything. This was for the admins to all see it, and I'd only need to update the raw data once a week instead of send it manually to whoever wanted it on a given day, up to 4 times a day usually. Took out about 6 hours of work a week having it set up like that. Well, the boss told me to take it down because a different department who hadn't seen it was worried about personal data when one of the admins told them about it. There isn't anything like that in there, and anything that isn't open access is password hidden anyway. Our IT team has to be formally requested to add a new member to our team's chat. The spreadsheet is password protected, the tabs are password protected, and the whole company is locked down hard anyway. So boss orders me to take it down and delete it. Run a fresh one for anyone who wants it. So I explained there wasn't anything in it that was personal or private data, but got told no, delete it anyway. Tried to explain we use it amongst the admins every day, and it has all these built-in features and tables, etc. Nope, still delete it. So I did. The fallout? Cue today. Boss says to me her big boss meeting is presenting figures to the executives tomorrow. She starts quoting figures that are wildly out from the true numbers. I questioned where they came from, and she showed me a Frankenstein report that's saying the exact opposite of what she thought. Run by someone not even in our department. I tell her the accurate grand total, and I show her how I got there with a simple table and some screenshots I had of the original shared spreadsheet. She asks for access, and I tell her it's been deleted. I explained why, and even showed the meeting notes where she had approved its use after viewing it. She denies any knowledge of it, but wants it back. I said it would take me 2 to 3 days to make it again due to my workload increase. I saved a copy of the template, but no way I'm telling her that. This will give me breathing room to get the backlog out of my queue while she thinks that I'm working on it. Let her sweat through that executive meeting knowing every figure is wrong. No one's saving her in this team anymore. I'm 38, female. My husband, who's 39, has been hiding having lunch with a coworker, 25, female, and said that my food was tasteless. What do I do? I feel really weird about this, and I'm on the verge of asking for a separation. So I've been with my husband for 15 years, married for 11. Amazing relationship. Small bumps, of course, but nothing like this. I've always made lunch for my husband to take to work, and up until a little over a month ago, that was fine. Middle of March, he said that a new Turkish food stand opened up outside of his office and that he had been eating lunches there instead because they were good. All right, no problem. So he just completely stopped asking for lunches. I had maybe packed 5 during this time frame for him, but I'm not even sure he was eating them now. So on Thursday, I was at home working and I had a phone call from him. Thought he was calling during his lunch, but he had butt dialed me on accident. At first, I didn't hear much, just heard him talking to someone, and I was about to hang up until I heard a woman's voice as well. I wouldn't say I'm a jealous person, but I was a little bit curious, so I muted my call at work and listened. It was just standard conversation at first. He was praising this woman's cooking a lot, which of course made me realize that he was eating lunch his coworker made. I was a bit peeved, but there's an explanation, sure. Although that went out the window when she said, "Is it better than your wife's?" To which he replied, "Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's not tasteless for a start," followed by laughing. First of all, what's that supposed to mean? 15 years of cooking and now he has a complaint? And not even to me, but some coworker? Also, that absolutely isn't innocent on her end, right? I'm not crazy in thinking that's so weird. Why even bring me up? Anyways, I raised heck, ended the call, sent him a message not to worry about my tasteless cooking anymore, and that he can eat from the bin from now on. He's apologized, said that he loves my food and was just trying to seem cool in front of his coworker. I asked why he lied about where he was getting lunch from, and he said that he initially did get lunch from that stand, but that the coworker started offering and he didn't want to tell me because he thought I would get jealous. Yeah, can you blame me? So I've been airing him since. I'm still upset, to be honest. I haven't made him lunch or dinner, only for myself since he said he dislikes it so much. He said today that he apologized and that I shouldn't keep punishing him, but I'm literally an inch from going to my mom's. I have a suitcase with my clothes packed under our bed already. Dad thinks it was a stupid comment, but that I should work it out. Mom is on my side regardless of my decision. I'm thinking about leaving for a few days at least. Maybe a separation, but I honestly just want some reassurance if that's what's best here. Let's be real here. What are the odds the first time he talks about you negatively is the time that he butt dials you? This has been going on since he stopped having you make him lunch. Married men who are into some other woman start conversations by making themselves the victim and talking crap about their wives. In this case, maybe your husband was crap talking about your cooking and now this coworker is making him lunch and they're eating it together. Am I the jerk for arguing with my wife and my in-laws over our kids' extracurriculars? My wife, 32 female, and I, 32 male, had some compromising to do with extracurricular activities. My wife grew up doing a lot of them. She pretty much never had free time, and her parents are pretty against it for kids. She did gymnastics, softball, basketball, soccer, dance, and music growing up. My family were more laid back, and that worked for me. I swam and did art sometimes, but none of it was super competitive and serious. My wife did a lot more of the competitive stuff and was always serious and going for pro. When we were discussing kids, she wanted the kids to be raised the same as her. I didn't agree with that, so we agreed we wouldn't force it on them. We wouldn't overwhelm them, 2 or 3 at absolute most at a time, and we wouldn't make them do the more competitive sports teams if they didn't want to. But if they wanted to, it wouldn't be stopped either. We have 4 boys. Our older 2 are very into sports and they take it seriously and want to play on serious teams. But our younger boys are the opposite and really don't like team sports. One favors swimming and the other favors rock climbing, but neither want to do either seriously. My wife wanted them to follow in their older brother's footsteps and at least do football on the serious team their brothers were part of and have since progressed from. I disagreed and referenced back to our prior agreement. She disagreed with me and said they need to be on teams and should be more serious about sports. My wife brought her parents into this, and all 3 of them tried to tell me why I was wrong. In-laws said kids with free time are going to grow up to be delinquents, and I was the exception to that. They also said the younger ones aren't going to be tough enough for high school, and beyond that if they don't learn something more solid in terms of sports. I asked what any of this had to do with them being tough and was ignored. My wife said I was being disagreeable for no reason and so unreasonable. I grew frustrated and told her she was using her parents to gang up on me and that we had an agreement and she was refusing to stick to it, even though I never interfered in what our older boys wanted. She told me they made the right choices. She wanted our younger boys to do the same. She said they're missing out on the pressure that all kids need to experience and the expectation that being part of a serious team brings. Her parents said my wife is right and I need to see sense and stop being selfish. I lost my temper and told my in-laws this had nothing to do with them and told my wife she was totally wrong for bringing her parents into this and trying to back me into a corner, and I wasn't okay with any of it. They're mad at me for making it a fight. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. Your wife and in-laws are sending the wrong message to your kids that their true, authentic selves aren't good enough. Sometimes it's good to push kids a little bit out of their comfort zones so they continue to challenge themselves and try new things. But wanting them to abandon their identities could create some deep issues. Keep standing up for them and continue to celebrate their true, authentic selves. It's really important that kids are allowed to be individuals. Not everyone has the same personality and needs the same stimuli to grow and develop. Your wife and her family need to understand that just because she was the right personality type to benefit from this doesn't mean that all of her kids are. She could do more harm than good by forcing them to do something that's not right for them as individuals. Also, most kids in the world do not do that list of activities that your wife did. In the UK, even among wealthy families, that's very excessive. 95% of us manage to not be delinquents as well. Go figure. Please don't back down on this for your kids' sake. Not the jerk. I have 4 kids. Not one of them was serious about sports. We had some soccer, track and field, basketball over the years, but no one was ever totally gung-ho. We also had art classes, robotics, music, and a ton of outdoor family experiences. All 4 are fine. 2 engineers, and 2 are in vocational training type careers. All good people, responsible, never had any issues of delinquency or the like. Your wife and her parents are nuts. Your wife is the jerk for bringing them into your family business. You guys need counseling ASAP. This is beyond Reddit. I've worked with kids for more than 30 years. Being scheduled that much does not make a happy person. It's all about control. Don't let these guys bully you. Not the jerk. Fender bender in the car wash, but who's actually at fault? Let's find out. Several years ago, I worked at a gas station with a car wash. This car wash uses a chain that pulls every vehicle through at the same speed, about 25 feet apart. The car wash was the cause of about 80% of all customer grievances. This one was a bit different. One weekday afternoon, I was stocking shelves when a young woman and an old man come in together. They spot me and say that we need to have a conversation, so I move back behind the counter. Okay, so what can I do for you? I ask with a smile. The woman is about to speak when the old man cuts her off. Your car wash damaged my car. Both of ours. Not the first time that I've heard this. Huh, how so? I ask. The woman chimes in. We were both in the car wash. I was ahead of him, and the car wash pulled his car into the back of mine. Hard. Immediate red flag. That's impossible. The chain can't pull one vehicle faster or slower than another. So I tell them exactly that. The woman says, Is it Pop? Are you calling me a liar? The man asks, interrupting her. She's visibly annoyed. What I'm saying, I point out to the man, is that the car wash couldn't have done this. Either you, I make eye contact with the woman, hit the brakes, I look back at the man, or you hit the gas. I didn't touch the brakes, the woman said, sounding as though she started second-guessing herself. I'm not stupid, the man shot back. I never touched the gas pedal. I had a feeling that the older guy was probably the one at fault here, so he was my prime suspect. Well, thankfully the car wash is lined up with cameras, so I'll just go rewind the footage and see what happened, I say, matter-of-factly. That's not necessary. We'll just have the company pay for the damages, the man says agreeably. Well, the company is going to want to review the footage anyway, so I might as well do it now. No, let's not waste any more of our time, the man says nervously. I exaggeratingly raise an eyebrow at him, then glance over at her. She clues in that I'm laying the pressure on him and also looks at him suspiciously. Oh, but surely the camera footage will prove your innocence, sir. Silence. Yup, it's him. So I review the footage, and sure enough, while he was being pulled by the chain at first, he hit the gas and rear-ended her. I came back behind the counter and looked at the woman. Well, turns out he hit the gas and rear-ended you. Now, even though it happened in the car wash, it wasn't caused by the car wash, so this matter will have to be solved between the two of you. If you would like the camera footage to provide to your insurance, I'd be happy to give it to you. I look over at the old man with a smirk. He clearly died a little on the inside, knowing that he's done for. She thanked me and looks over at him as if to say, Pay up, sucker. Am I the jerk for not paying my boyfriend back after he didn't get me the right birthday cake? I definitely have a bit of a complex about this kind of stuff because of how I grew up. Always with my siblings getting what they asked for while I almost never did, and generally feeling like I never get my turn at things, so it will be helpful to know if I'm justified or overreacting. My boyfriend and I have been dating for 10 months, and it was my birthday yesterday. I put a lot of effort into birthdays, including his, and I was pretty excited about it for the last month or so. There's a local bakery that makes a really good-looking pineapple upside-down cake. I've been really wanting to try it and have been saving it for my birthday. About a month in advance, I told him my birthday was coming up and gave him a few activity ideas and told him that I didn't need a gift, but I really wanted a pineapple upside-down cake from XYZ Bakery. He said sure. Now, I know this was probably annoying, but I did mention this specific cake several times, even before last month. Like, we would drive by the bakery and I'd say something like, Oh, hey, that's the place with the pineapple cake. I want to do that for my birthday. I wasn't deliberately hammering the point home or anything, or aware that it was going to end in a cake-centered conflict, but there were a couple occasions where it came up. And then a week before my birthday, I did text him a reminder about the cake,
so that he would have the bakery info on hand. Yesterday rolls around and my boyfriend comes over to my apartment and gives me a gift, which is a Kindle. Not a bad gift, and I know they're expensive, but not something particularly relevant to me either. Then he says, let's have cake, and presents what you all know by now is not the pineapple upside down cake, but just a regular grocery store cake with the frosting balloons. Vanilla cake with vanilla buttercream. You guys, I was legitimately sad. If I knew he was going to drop the ball on this, I would have just gotten myself a pineapple cake months ago instead of waiting. I was on the verge of tears because of not getting the one thing I actually wanted, which was that stupid cake. So I told him I was very disappointed and that he should just go home. He had 2 tickets to a comedy show for that night, and one ended up going to waste. Now he's annoyed because it is of course just a cake and wants me to reimburse the cost of the wasted ticket. It was only about $30, but I'm bristling at the principle of it and said I didn't owe him the money. He sent me a Venmo request for $30. Am I the jerk if I don't pay? Not the jerk. I'm sick of boyfriends and husbands getting a pass on things like this. You clearly told him what you wanted, and then he didn't even get the cake. You asked him for one thing, and he couldn't even do that right. Exactly. How hard is it to follow instructions? I mean, you needn't put any effort. You are told exactly what she wants. I get wanting to give her a more thoughtful gift, but OP said the Kindle wouldn't be relevant to things they like to do. If my husband kept telling me, babe, I think this cake would be cool for my birthday, it would be the first thing on my mind to purchase for his birthday. I mean, either he's not listening or he doesn't care. Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard. Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.